Prophet ﷺ said that the two greatest gifts people waste are free time and health. And so I want you to imagine this. Imagine you are in the Day of Judgment and Allah is in front of you and everyone's screaming, it's chaotic, and everything you do is going to be in front of you, your whole lifespan. And imagine the time you spent wasted. Imagine how you're going to look back on that. You're going to realize that it's probably the biggest thing you're going to regret, wasting time on social media or on YouTube and doing things that are not pleasing to Allah. If you put it in this perspective, you realize like you're sitting on gold and you're not using it. And you need to use it, because if you don't, it's going to be one of the biggest causes of regret for you on the Day of Judgment. And at the end of the day, that's when our life really starts. Like a lot of us think this dunya is our life, but that's not true. Instead, we're more like travelers, and this dunya is just a small stop in our life. And our true life is the akhirah. Look, all of that is after you die, on the Day of Judgment and when you get judged. But wasting free time and using free time improperly actually also has an effect on you in this dunya. And this is something that, as I was researching, actually changed my paradigm a lot, which is that wasting time can decrease your iman, even if you keep the same amount of ibadah. Basically, it's all relative. So, for example, if you spend 4 hours a day doing ibadah, right? That's just a random number I came up with. But you spend 4 hours a day doing that, and let's say 10 hours a day just wasting time, or you have free time and you waste it. Compare that now to another person who also has 4 hours of ibadah, but instead spends 15 hours a day wasting time. And of course, these are random numbers, but you get the point. The thing is, the person who has more free time will actually have lower iman. And this is kind of paradoxical because they both have the same amount of ibadah, but ibadah and free time, it's relative. The amount of iman you have is based on your opportunity. So if you have a lot of free time and you use a very small amount of it to worship Allah and to do good things, that's going to be way worse than if you have a little bit of free time and you use most of it. Even if that total amount of ibadah is less, it'll still be better for you and your iman will be higher. And this is one of the reasons why Ibn Jawzi rahmatullah alayhi said that wasting time is actually worse than death. Because look at this. He said that death separates you from this world, but wasting time actually separates you from Allah. You don't have to be a genius or a scholar to figure this out, because you felt it yourself. Every single time you wasted time, maybe you've been binging on YouTube or on TikTok or scrolling all day, you realize you feel distant from Allah. This is something that honestly all of us feel. This is actually a symptom of wasting time, and this is why I say wasting time actually destroys your iman. This is something you've definitely felt before. Now here's the thing you're asking. Well, why do I waste time? Or how do I fix this? Well, no matter what, we're all given the same 24 hours in a day. So all of us are given the same thing, but it matters how we spend it. And the way we actually get benefit from this time is by spending it in a way that's aligned with Allah. So you probably heard this idea before of your purpose is to worship Allah in this life. But it gets kind of confusing because, well, there's a lot of different ways to worship Allah. And also, what about other things, like things in this dunya that I have to do, like make money or be financially stable? Well, the thing is, all of these things are still important. Everything in this dunya is important as long as you align it to Allah. So making money, this is something that's obligatory on you to support your family. So this is still aligned with Allah. Even something like fitness, exercising, and having a good diet, that's still aligned with Allah, as long as your intention is correct. So when we talk about that your purpose is to worship Allah, we're not saying you have to go and sajda 24 hours a day. Like, of course, that's way too much. But what it means is every single thing you do has to be aligned with Allah in a certain way. If you want the most barakah in your time, get a job that's somehow aligned with Allah, or some form of financial sustenance that's aligned with Allah. Because that way you're actually getting hasanat, right? And you're pleasing Allah by doing it. And also spend your free time in a way that's pleasing to Allah. Maybe it's like a personal project that you have that's to do with Islam or something. Or maybe it's like me, I like making YouTube videos. And that's just a few examples, but really there's a million different things you can do. And once you have this thing that you enjoy doing and it's aligned with Allah, then you'll realize you don't want to scroll on YouTube or scroll on TikTok or any of this stuff. But instead, you want to do that thing because not only does it fulfill you, but it also pleases Allah. So it's a win-win. The next thing I'll say is using your time to learn. Unfortunately, a lot of people misuse this because your free time could be spent gaining so much knowledge. I mean, think about all the time you wasted throughout your whole life. How many books could you have read in that time? Or even how much Quran could you have read during that time? You could have probably been very smart in any subject. And of course, there's no point in ruminating over the past, but just think about towards the future. Think about how much time you have that you could spend learning, reading books, reading Quran, or even watching videos that are beneficial, and you could use that free time to improve yourself and make yourself way better. The key here, in my opinion, is to actually go out and learn stuff that you're interested in. A lot of people make this mistake of trying to pick up a book because someone told them to, or because, it sounds like a cool subject. But if you really don't like it and you're not interested in it, you're never going to keep up with it and you're never going to learn anything from it. So just look at what interests you. It could be in any single subject or department. And when you think about Islam, there are a lot of different things that you could research and learn about. It doesn't have to be Quran only, for example. Maybe you're interested in hadith, maybe you're interested in aqidah, maybe you're interested in fiqh, which is basically rulings and all that stuff. But in my opinion, if you want to learn effectively, just choose stuff you're interested in. Don't force yourself to take in a book, but rather just go read the book that you actually want to read. Now, the last thing I'll tell you is a lot of people have this problem where they feel like they wasted their time, especially, for example, they wasted their youth. Now, without a doubt, you probably wasted so much time in your life and you could have gotten so much more ahead. But you have to understand there's no point in reminiscing and regretting over that time. One of the biggest traps of shaitan is just making you anxious and looking back on your past. Because if you look back on your past, you're not moving forward. Nothing's going to happen from you reflecting back on your past constantly. And of course, there's a thing of learning from your mistakes and learning from your past. And that's a different thing. Of course, that's important. But just don't ruminate over it because it's not helping you. And you also have to understand you always have opportunity. It's not too late ever. I mean, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, he was 38 when he started learning Islam and he started gaining knowledge because, he was 2 years younger than the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now, he started at 38 and he became one of the greatest companions of all time. And this is not just for Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu. This is the same for Umar radiallahu anhu, who also, I believe, started at age 26 or 28, somewhere around there. You'll realize a lot of these companions, they started very late in life, but they still got so much done. So don't fall into this feeling of thinking you wasted your youth or wasted your time. Just don't even think about it. Just look forward and you'll realize you have so much time ahead of you that you could get ahead of everybody else. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Don't forget to not stop making dua to Allah. Check out Clean Islamic Streetwear in the description. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.